Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the previous lesson, we learned how to write the opening paragraph, and I introduced a generic structure for the opening paragraph, and we looked at a few examples together. In this video, we're going to turn our attention to the background paragraph, which is the longest paragraph in all of the emails that you're going to write. And the reason why it's long is because it has three main components. Let's see what these components are. There are three things that you need to do in a typical background paragraph. The first one is to introduce yourself. Now, do you always need to introduce yourself? The answer is no. In many cases, the reader or the examiner already knows in this hypothetical situation who you are. So there's no need for you to introduce yourself. But in other cases, you might be initiating the correspondence or you might be writing for the first time. So it's only appropriate for you to say who you are to your reader. The second component is to review the scenario. If you remember, the question will always give us a scenario or a situation to work with. What you need to do here is to add some details and to provide this necessary background information to your readers. You shouldn't assume that they have also read the question. So the letter basically should be understandable in an independent way. And the third element that we often find in the background paragraph is function number one or bullet number one. So let's start with the first element, which is introducing ourselves. So again, I'm going to use different colors here just to show you what's what. So review the scenario and also function one. So let's begin with introducing yourself. The way you introduce yourself is you begin by mentioning your name, and then after you mention your name, you're going to explain how you are connected to the recipient or the topic. Just telling the recipient who you are by mentioning your name is not enough. So you just can't say, my name is John Doe. You have to say something like, my name is John Doe, and I've been your customer for the past 10 years. You see, the second part, I've been your customer for the past 10 years, clearly indicates the relationship between me as the writer and the recipient as the person who's reading the letter. Another example would be, my name is John Doe and I recently moved into the neighborhood. Again, this clearly shows that I and the recipient are neighbors. I'll write another example here for you. My name is John Doe and I'm currently on the market for a used vehicle. So as you can see here, we begin by introducing ourselves. My name is John Doe. That's the first component. And then I use a comma. Always you need that comma. And then use and I'm, and then add whatever explanation is necessary. All right, then what do we do after that? If you remember, the second thing we need to do is to review the scenario. So I'm going to add another title here, review the scenario. How are we going to review the scenario? Basically, what you need to do is repeat what is in the question. Remember, the question had two parts, and one part was called the description. What you need to do here is repeat the description and then maybe add some WH questions to flesh out the details. For example, it says here you were on a flight from Vancouver to Toronto. Okay, when was this? So you could say 2 days ago, for example. Then it says, when you arrived home, you discovered that you had left your wallet on the plane. Okay, fair enough. But where and when did you realize this? So you could say maybe in the taxi, on the way home, as I was getting ready to pay the driver, I realized that I had left my wallet. So WH questions, that's something you need to add. And it's also important to paraphrase. So don't repeat what's in the question exactly. Try to put it into your own words. So for example, instead of saying when you arrived home, you discovered that you had left your wallet on the plane, you could say, upon arriving home in Toronto Pearson Airport and on my taxi ride back home, I realized that. So not only am I adding the details, but I'm also paraphrasing. So the question uses the word discovered, and I'm going to use something like realized instead. The question says, when you arrived home. I said, upon arriving in Toronto Pearson. So try to use as much paraphrasing as you possibly can. Okay, so far we have covered the introduction part. We have covered the part where we review the scenario, and we're now going to look at the third component of the background paragraph, which is the first function. If you remember, in the question we had 3 bullets and we called these functions. So bullet 1 is function 1, bullet 2 is function 2, and bullet 3 is function 3. The first bullet is what we are going to put in the background paragraph. So here is where we're going to explain where and when we lost the wallet. Remember, in the planning phase, we also came up with 2 points that we're going to mention. So we should have enough ideas. When you're writing your function, just remember to use a transition expression. So a transition expression is an expression that clearly separates the previous sections from what you're going to do in the function paragraph. So, for example, you could say something like, I believe I must have left my wallet on seat 32F while I was getting off the plane. You see, by repeating parts of the question, like, I believe I must have left my wallet, you're clearly indicating that you are done with the previous explanations and you are moving on to express when and where you lost your wallet. Now, we will talk more about these transition expressions later, but for now, keep that in mind and remember that that's a requirement. Finally, it would be a great idea to include a topic sentence at the beginning of each function. And we're going to learn how to write this topic sentence in future videos, specifically in videos where we look at the function paragraph. And that's what the focus of the next lesson is going to be. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Leave your comments below and write a sample background paragraph. I will take a look at it for you and I'll provide you with comments. You can also learn from the comments that other students have left below. Thanks again, as always, for watching this video and for all your support. See you all in the next one.